Ladies and gents, good evening. Simon Brown here. I just want to check that folks are hearing me, seeing my screen. If we get yays to both, if you can raise your hand in the GoToWebinar. Nico does it if he knows exactly what I'm going to say. Brilliant. Hands coming plenty. So myself and Njabulo again this evening. Quick bit of housekeeping. Next week, which will be the 9th, just in Njabulo, because I've got another event. And then the following week is the 16th, which is Youth Day, public holiday. So we'll be taking the Wednesday off, but normal will resume then on the 23rd. So I've actually had a couple of entries in the last little bit. The main key one, obviously, is the China, which I've been in for a while now. And it's bubbling along, and it's weird. I mean, there's my entry candle way back there, sort of mid-May. Did much, and then suddenly a giant update on the 25th of May. I don't know what happened, and I quite like that. It's just, stuff went up, and I'm long, so I'm happy. And then bumbles along a little bit weaker. Trades in profit. Stop loss is in profit. So nice looking trade. Happy with it, and it's all going in the right direction. Remember, stop losses that close below that moving average, which is currently, call it 17,800. My entry was 17,486. Two other trades. The S&P finally triggered for me. You'll note that I'm seemingly entering on the wrong candles, because that's the actual candle, but I'm not checking charts at late at night. So when I get up for my show the next morning at 4:30, I then get into the position. So technically I'm entering it. It's a day late, but nonetheless. And that trades a dollar and change, down $1.04 at the moment, although we're having a decent run now, the decent Wednesday in the market. This has been going sideways. It's back to April. If we zoom out more, certainly the acceleration has slowed down, and we've seen a bit of a sideways action since, since there. So what's that? Mid-April. That's fine. I mean, it's going to break. Hopefully, it's going to break a lot higher. We'll see. And then trade I got into early this morning, 4:30 times, is my, this is the Russell 2000, so sort of the mid cap in the US. There was my entry candle, which is when the 7 goes through the 21. So green moving average up through the red moving average. And then I want to green close after that, which then happened 3 days later, last night at the close. And so I entered this morning. And as things stand now, that trade $6 underwater, so a little bit under pressure. Also watching NASDAQ. Again, I've got the trigger on the NASDAQ. There was the trigger candle, and that was a close at 13,714 points. And if we close above that, which we might do this evening, I will then also take a long into NASDAQ. It does mean I am very long the US, but so be it. They're different. NASDAQ is 50% tech, whereas and zero financials, S&P's 23% tech and about 12% financials. And of course, the Russell, the 2000, is all those mid caps, etc. China, I don't know, it's 50 stocks. We'll leave it at that. UK, muddling along. I had been in this trade and I got stopped on it. So we'll not be waiting for something to happen there. Nice little 2 days bouncing off that 21. Europe, same story. I was in, got stopped. It now continues to muddle along. There is a second way to trade this. So way back in the day when I was trading this in the early 2000s and I was using Aussie futures, there were two differences to how I traded today. The first is I charted the top 40 index, but I traded the futures. And the reason for that is because the top 40 index is a lot less volatile. So you don't get sort of that whipsaw, which you can get, in a futures market. If someone goes during the course of the late morning, early afternoon, and buys 30 or 40 contracts, they will move that market like 200, 300, 400 points potentially in a short period. hit the contracts, and it'll come back. If they do it craftily, they won't, but if they're a lazy trader, they will move that market. Whereas to move the top 40 index by a similar point, you've got to go and buy, a couple of 100 million rands worth of equity. So it's a lot less volatile. The second difference from what I used to do back in the day was I would exit on a of a cross. So this was almost an always in position, either long or short. So for example, I would have taken a short there as the 7 went below 21. That would have been my stop, and then a move into a short trade at the same time. And then I would have got on that candle there, stopped, and a move into a long trade. And that would have kept me in the long. And that meant that you were always in trades, long or short. And we did some nuances in terms of the confirmation. So sometimes you'd be out for a couple of candles. I traded this on a bunch of different time frames, 5, 15, and 60 minutes. I never did end of day. This was sort of intraday trading. Holding positions overnight, but the drawdowns were quite extreme. And I nuanced it by saying, and there's a debate out there that says perhaps it's not working, that it works better the other way. You just need the stomach for the drawdowns. A couple of others, Hong Kong doing lacquer as well, but I've got myself China, and that's broadly the same. The sub indices, quick look at them. Spain, sort of a bit of a topping pattern there. France looking strong. Australia looking lacquer. I don't trade this. Time zones were causing me all sorts of issues. And if I recall correctly, I can do fractions, so I can do a 1, which is much smaller, but I got nailed on time zones. And India was the one where I couldn't do the small. And Germany, looking okay. Trading, I think, trading all-time highs. And then, of course, local market, just off our all-time highs. Although we've had that 60,000 is proving fairly, it was resistance for a while, and now it's become a fairly decent support. And after a couple of flat days last week, we have rallied quite nicely up. So 3 open trades, stalking the Nasdaq. We'll see how that closes this evening. All in all, I'm comfortable with them. My risks are looking good. My China, as I say, has moved into a stop losses and profit. There's nuances to that because, of course, it's not a hard stop, it's a closed stop. So we'll see where that goes. But for now, comfortable with it, happy, and we will see how it rolls. With that, I'll hand over to Njabulo and see how he's doing on his equities.
Evening, ladies and gents. Let me just that's the screen I want. Cool. So I got stopped today on GoFills. When Go stocks were starting to run, I got triggered on GoFills with that golden cross there, and it looked like that 173 was acting nice as a resistance level, that 173.20. And when we broke above it, I took a long there and got stopped. And my stop was nice and tight, just below that traffic there. So yeah, we'll see if the Go stocks are serious about running. But looks like they're taking a break at the moment. And GoFills was the leader of the pack based on the 50-day exponential moving average being above the 200-day exponential moving average. Also got stopped on Quilter as the stock broke below the 200-day exponential moving average. And as they say, nothing good happens below the 200-day exponential moving average. So I was happy with that stop. And it looks like I found some strength. Let's see if it does break back above the 200-day exponential moving average. And let's see if, okay, that was support. We'll look for levels where we can re-enter this trade if it starts to trade, to move back higher. I got stopped on MT on momentum, but I jumped back in, and the same candle that stopped me out was the same one that put me back in, because on being stopped out, I was looking for if I were to be stopped out, I was looking for a close above that candle to re-enter the position, and that same candle that stopped me out put me back in the trade. And now, if we get a close through that 2180 level, I'll add this position. I'll add to this position again and trail my stop perhaps to around that 1917 level. Also got stopped on Nsibande on that sell-off there, that doji candle there when it was holding support to put me back into this trade. But I got stopped because it traded below that low of the doji. But I'm back in the position. The stock is currently looking quite nice. On the close above the 73 rand, I'll add to the position and trail my stop behind me. At the moment, the level that I'm eyeing for stop loss is at 74 rand, 74 rand 30, some change. Perhaps we could also see that as a resistance level, but I'm not in a hurry to add to this position at the moment. For now, that 73 rand is a much better place to place a stop. And I think that was all for this week in terms of closed positions. With regards to open position, the banks have been running quite nicely, especially this the past couple of weeks. When first jump back into this trade when we broke that resistance level there. And then again, when we close above that resistance level there, and when we zoom out, okay, let me just delete all these lines. Perhaps I move to a weekly chart. It's a fair bit of support there. Yeah, that level they held quite nicely as support. If you then jump back into the daily chart and zoom back to that level, there was my resistance level there. And yeah, I entered, added to this position, looking fairly good. Also the boxes, if I plot the my boxes are stacking up quite nicely in the correct direction. So as we break through that resistance, I'll add to the position and trail my stop to halfway through this box. Now the move that I'm waiting for is a move to that higher box. Yeah, once I start to trade back into that higher range, I'll add to my position. African Rainbow, so it held that 200 exponential moving average and closed back above its what was resistance, which turned support, and looking like it's staying above that level. So once you get through 290, I'll add to the position, and again when we get through 303, I'll add again to the position and trail my stop behind me. So implants, similarly, after that selling off, looks like the 200-day exponential moving average was holding, even though it was never touched off. We had to break back above a level that was resistance and then slightly turned into support and had some reaction on it. So once we broke through that level, I took the trade and with a stop loss just below, nice tight stop just below the traffic there. And if we take that low out, yeah, I don't want to be in the trade. We'll take a second shot on a different trade. Next that has been toying with me has been Aspen. I've been waiting for a breakthrough that 166 level for quite a minute now. It's just, yeah, that 166 level looks like there's a seller that's not going anywhere at that level. Once we break through that level, I'll add to the position and put my stop around that 158.90 level, and adding to my position. World has been running quite nicely. So on this candle here, it ran too far too quickly for risk reward. So I've passed on that trade, but if we get it close through that 124, 125 level, which was a fairly decent resistance level back in December. Once we break through that level, I'll add to the position. We had a nice bullish engulfing candle there. If we can get it closed above that 125, we did trade through 125 today, but we haven't closed above it. If we get it closed, maybe tomorrow, I'll add to the position and put my stop at 114, securing quite a bit of profit there. Bitcomp looking fairly decent, holding that 200-day exponential moving average quite well. So if we can get it close through that 297, I'll add to my position, and with a stop loss just below that 50-day exponential moving average, perhaps around that 285.50. If we can get a nice close through that 297. Bidvest, nice breakouts. If I jump back all the way to a monthly chart even, as you can see that trend line there was holding quite well as a resistance on a monthly chart, and a nice breakout after holding that 50-day exponential moving average. This is the kind of dip that I would like to buy. So if we get it close through that 202 level, which is a level that was a support level on the weekly charts. So if we can get through that level, I'll add to my position and trail my stop accordingly. So yeah, I'm liking Bidvest quite a bit, and we have that night golden cross there. The stock looking fairly strong. Next is Capitec. I've been pyramiding slowly into this position. I've added again just before the close today. That's what is it? 1679.20 level looked like it was holding as resistance, and then I just wanted a close above it, and then added to the position and trail my stop just below that red candle there, that hammer candle there. Trading, adding to this position one share at a time, and after this I'll be drawing my boxes again to kind of see, because with Capitec the tricky thing is that we're trading at all-time highs. There's no historical support or resistance level that you can refer to as a significant price. So as a result, I'll be just drawing the boxes and see where we are at the minute. Perhaps we should quickly just do them now, so that if someone is wondering how those boxes work, just taking from that range there, of that, and just stacking up the these boxes nicely. So it looks like we moved into a new higher box today. So as it reacts in the new box, I'll monitor to see to look for places where I can add to my position. I always look for places where I could add to the position. Richmond, it was stuck in this range for quite a minute, and then it broke and just didn't look back. So yeah, looking quite nice. And if we can get through that if we can get through the top of the higher box at 179, I'll add to the position and pull my stop behind me on Richmond there. Clicks looking quite decent, holding that 200-day exponential moving average, waiting for a break back above that that resistance level there. which we got with that candle entered just before the close. So yeah, if we get a close back again through that 260 level, I'll add to the position. And it looks like we did have a close above. So I'm going to be adding to this position tomorrow at the open with a stop loss of around that 250, around that 250 exponential moving average on clicks. I'm lacking clicks quite a bit at the moment. So I got stopped on coronation, or with that hammer there. My stop loss was just below the low of that bullish flag there. I got stopped, and the same candle that stopped me in was the same candle that triggered me back in. And on a doji, I want to close above the high of the doji, which we got on the next day. The stock looks like it's still range bound at the minute. If we can get through that 56 rand level, looks like someone is selling at that 56 rand level. But if we can get through that level, I'll add to the position, and with a stop loss just below that 50-day exponential moving average. Another stock that broke out and didn't look back is Discam. So it broke through. So it broke out there and just didn't look back, and it's been running for a minute now. And now, if you can get through that 23 rand and some change, I'll add to. 31 rand. I'll add to the level. I'll add to the position and put my stop just below the traffic there. On Discam, looking fairly decent. Is Discam. So Discovery looking quite decent. Came bitterly close twice. In 2 days in a row. Came bitterly close from stopping me out. I think he had missed me by a few things. Had missed me by quite a smidgen, about 16 cents that it missed me by, holding that 50-day exponential moving average. It's always nice when the price misses you stop just by a little bit. But if you can get through 152, I'll add to the position and throw my stop behind me. And my biggie has been dispelled. Still looks like the momentum has slowed down a little bit, but slowing down on the right side, going higher, even though there isn't much disagreement between buyers and sellers. They kind of looks like they kind of agree, but the buyers looks like they have more conviction. If we can get through 172, I'll add to the position and throw my stop behind me on Distel. This trade has been a giant trade, holding my portfolio quite afloat quite a bit. And if I remove the return from this trade, my portfolio goes down quite significantly. I think I'm sitting at about 60% return on this position, and about 30% profit. With where my stop is at the moment. So that's looking fairly good. So we have a nice double bottom on Exaro. I'm still shaking off that price adjusting for dividend. That was a giant dividend that Exaro paid. I think it was 18 rand or something. But if we can get it close through the 185 level, I'll add to the position and reach my stop up behind me. But at the minute, I'm just managing this trade just to reduce the risk on this position. It also came bitterly close from stopping me out. Is Exaro on this position. FNB. Broke into a higher box today, entered just before the close with a stop loss just below the bullish engulfing candle. Looking fairly good. The banks have been running quite well as of late, especially in the past couple of weeks. They've been running quite strongly. TFG also moving quite nicely, broke out and didn't look back. And that breakthrough, I was waiting for a break above that resistance level there, but it just washed off too quickly. And I thought it was perhaps it was going to come back to retest that supported 126, but I was wrong about that one. But if we get it close through that 138 level, which is the support level from, looks like a giant round bottom on Fushimi. So if we can get through 136, I'll add to the position with a stop loss of 130 there. Glencore. So also when Glencore held, there. So when Glencore held that 50-day exponential moving average, breaking above that resistance level, I took the trade with a stop loss just below that 50-day exponential moving average. That's in close. And again, when we broke through that level there, so I had a break yesterday and the day before yesterday. And then I added to the position yesterday, trading my stop behind me ever so slightly. Initially, my stop loss was below the doji there, and then I ratcheted up just a little bit. And then if we get it close through that 66 rand level, which will be, I think, a new 52-week high close, I'll add it to the position with a stop loss around that 62 rand and some change. Growth point looking quite good. So I was triggered on that bullish flag there, rather on not that one. That was triggered on that bullish flag. What is happening now? There you go. So I got triggered on that bullish flag there. This resistance turned into support and holding it quite nicely. Now, if you can get it close through that 14 rand 80, 14 rand 80, I'll add to the position and put my stop maybe around the 14 rand 20 level behind me. Growth point looking very, very good. And if you can look at the distance it has to travel to go back to those pre-COVID. The pre-COVID crash, it still has quite some distance to go, and until those prior highs, there's quite a bit of distance to go. And if we can catch at least 60-70% of that move, that would be quite a trade. So I'm back on Impala. Also had a nice profit on Impala. I stopped on that side of there, came back to to be quite close to that 200-day exponential moving average. So when it broke through that level at 248, which held as support for quite a bit, I come back into the trade. So it looks like it's still holding that 50-day exponential mover. 50-day exponential moving average, and I think once we win that battle with that 50-day exponential moving average, that will be good for this position, and I'll add to the position above the 261 and some change. I'll add to this position and throw my stop behind me. Looks like it could be a nice small head and shoulders pattern there, but we'll see in time. Yeah, Imperial also looking fairly good. It's moving lower slowly. But if we can get through that 51 rand 75 level, I'll add to the position with the stop loss just below that profit there around that 49 rand. Throwing my stop behind me. Also has quite a fair bit of distance to go. If I jump back to that weekly chart. As you can see, we broke quite a significant resistance level on Imperial. So if we can stay above this line here, looking really good. Looks like it's still fighting with the 200-week exponential moving average, which incidentally the 50-day exponential moving average. Investec looking fairly okay. Was strong for a minute. And once we get through that 58 rand and some change, I'll add to this position. I did, however, take this trade and ended up with I got stopped with a little under 2% profit on this trade. So I just jumped back in once it broke through that 55 rand and some change level. So Kumba, so I wanted to close through that because as you can see, this level here was nice and support. So I wanted to close through that as the stock came back to test that 50-day exponential moving average. Another trade that I got stopped with a small profit. But yeah, once we get through 681, I'll add to the position, put my stop and throw my stop behind me. Life healthcare looking like a gem. So if we can get through that support level there, if we can get through the 22 rand 30 level, I'll add to my position with a stop loss around the 21 rand level behind me, just moving up, jogging my stop loss behind me. Mr. Price. Mr. Price moving quite nicely as well. So if we moved to a new box today, I added to the position and trailed my stop to the 220 level. So yeah, sitting on a fair bit of profit on Mr. Price. I think about 4 or 5% profit at the moment, which is quite good. Mr. Price, rather MTN also looking quite decent. If we move into that box, on that one, if we close above 105, I'll add to the position and throw my stop behind me on MTN, looking quite decent as well. Multi-choice as well is it was dead for quite some time, but it looks like it wants to contest that upper box around that 140 level. If we can get a close above 140, I'll definitely add to the position and throw my stop to around that 132 level. This trade has offered me, when a stock goes sideways without stopping me, it usually offers me a great way to pyramid into the position without necessarily increasing my average entry price. Nedbank also looking nice and strong. Broke to a higher box, came back to retest the support, and broke. Continued to move higher with a nice bullish engulfing candle, holding that 50-day exponential moving average. If we can get through 170, I'll add to the position and throw my stop behind me on that. The banks are looking quite impressive at the minute. Northern as well came back to hold that support level. And was happy with the close. Where was that close? Yeah, there you go. There, I wanted to close through that level there, which was a level that was quite respected. Nice double bottom there. So wanted to close back above this level, which we got. I believe it was on Monday. If we can break through that 50-day exponential moving average, and which is also a resistance level. If we can get through 239, about 239.80, I'll add to the position and throw my stop behind me on Northern. It looks like the platinum miners are starting to recover at the minute. The Old Mutual also, broke and didn't look back. So now looking like it's testing that, it's fighting with that 1480 level as resistance. If we can get a close through that level, maybe tomorrow, I'll add to the position and put my stop around the 14 Rand level, behind me. Next is Pepco. Pepco looking very, very good. Looked like it was breaking through, and then I had kind of missed it. And then, luckily I was still in the position. Well, the price was still within my buy point. So I added to the position and throw my stop to that 1840 level, which is still a fair bit of distance away. But if we can get close back into this higher box, if we can get it, close back above that 20 and 20 level, I'll ratchet my stop maybe to that 18 or 90 level, adding to the position again behind me. So if we can get it close through that, because we seem to have rejected this level 4 times already. If we can get through that level, I'll add to the position and pull my stop behind me. Pick n Pay. Looking fairly decent. Coming back to test the support of the higher box. That color should be green. So looking back to test the support of that higher box. Pick n Pay looking fairly decent at the moment. Remgro looking also quite nice. Breaking into higher boxes, nice and nicely. So if we can get through that support level there, if we can get through that 124.40 level, I'll add to the position and pull my stop behind me accordingly. Recently with that golden cross there as well. So there's a fair bit of wind on that trade. So Real Merchant Investment Holdings broke through that trend line there, which is a descending channel there, staying above it. So if we can get the close through that resistance around the 33.50 level, I'll add to the position. Interestingly, we have a nice reversal candle, perhaps to retest that support level. But if we can get close through 33.50, we would have invalidated this doji, and we're good to go. So on Sapi, I was looking for the break above that level there, about that 43 Rand level. Looking quite decent. Looked like it's found some resistance there, some minor resistance around that 45 Rand and some change. But if you can get through that level, through that 50-day exponential moving average as well, I'll look to add to my position with a stop loss of just of 41 Rand, just below that that 50-day exponential moving average, and then just below that pullback there, moving it behind me ever so slightly. So the lazy has triggered us in on Sotrix 40. So there was the trigger candle, and the confirmation was a close above the trigger candle and close above the 30-day exponential moving average. Emergency stop loss was just below the traffic there, and nice and safe. And I think if we can get through that 63 Rand 50 level, if the top 40 can get through that 63,000 resistance, I think we in for a nice run on Sotrix 40 there. Shoprite started moving, has been stagnant for quite some time, and then held that 50-day exponential moving average. Found some support around that 155 level, and then we finally broke above that level, and then I added to the position, trailing my stop to just below the 50-day exponential moving average. And now if you can get it close through 162.50, I'll add to the position and trail my stop behind me, perhaps to just below that doji there, around that 152 level. But we'll see as we looks like we forming either a head and shoulders pattern, or a cup and handle, or just a nice round bottom. But either way, looking quite decent. SPA, we had a nice double bottom breakout there. Yesterday we broke back above that resistance level, closing, through that 200-day and a 50-day exponential moving average. But if we can get a close through 180, 198, Richard must stop to just below that 200-day exponential moving average. But I'll be more, happy and more comfortable with this position if we can get through that 203 level, because there's less disturbances. Even better if we can get through 213, because we have less traffic above those levels there. But look like the stocks is stuck in a giant sideways market, going lower slowly. But if we can get through the 213 level, I think we could be witnessing some good moves there. They did come up with good results, but we'll see in time. Telkom as well, I'll be adding to this position tomorrow. Richard pulled my stop just before just before we got on. So my stop is now 45.65, and tomorrow I'll be adding to this position, and the stop loss to that trade will also be 45.65 as well. So Tiger Brands, looking looking like it's having a tough time with that 225.95 level, acting as resistance. If we can get through that level, I'll add to the position and throw my stop to just below the traffic there on Tiger Brands. The stock looking quite decent. Transaction Capital has been moving like a gem. Also paid a dividend today. Looked like taking a breather before moving into a higher box. I did trail my stop to that level. Initially, it was just below that giant candle there, just in the middle of that gap. But I did move it to that below, to that just under the traffic there, because I haven't quite figured out how to deal with dividends. But now, since the dividend is well behind us and that sort of thing, I'll pull my stop back to where it was at that 34.75 level, because dividends and the price reaction to dividends can be quite tricky at times, and I don't want to be shaken off out of my position just because of dividends. So just managing that trade properly. But if we do get a close through that, I believe 36 Rand 80 level, I'll add to the position and ratchet my stop even tighter to around the 36.8-ish level. But we'll see how strongly we get that close through. Truett's also moving like a gem as well. So if you can get through that 58 Rand 20 level, which was back, a nice good resistance level that held. So if we can get through that 58.20, I'll add to the position and trail my stop behind me with a stop loss just below around that 53.60 level. And then my last open position is Woolies, looking quite fairly decent. If you can get through 56.80, I'll add to the position and put my stop maybe around that 54.40 level. So my goal is not just to rush trading my stock, but moving it at precise time. So that's pretty much it for me in terms of open trades. And the stock I'm watching quite closely is AB InBev. So if we can get through 1,073, I'll take that trade with a stop just below the low of the profit. So I don't know if you caught some questions. I wasn't monitoring those. If there's any.
No questions coming through, dude. Some good trading there, and I like to your point. When there's a lot happening in this market. The top 40 is sort of trading where it was back at the beginning of March, but as you delve in, there's stuff happening. Banks are running, some retailers and stuff, and there's some good trading there, man.
Yeah, no, thank you. And, to add to the, I have about, in fact, not about, I have exactly 47 trades, which, to some could be regarded as over trading, but the key component to this process, there's a method to the madness, is that none of these 47 trades will, adversely hurt the portfolio, but, a single trade, which is that, something that we talked about on the article that came out last week, is that if in trend following, just make sure that no single trade takes you out of the game, but allow a single trade to put you in the game. So that is kind of the philosophy. And I can't call it top or bottom, so I'm just trading my stop behind.
Yeah, and you've got and the stops are in the system. So I mean, yes, you can get some slippage in the stops, but that's not going to be massive. Aldrich is asking if you can have a look at Sanlam, if you're seeing anything there.
Sanlam. The last time I was looking at Sanlam, I was quite bearish, but it looked like it did recover. It was recovering. At first I was quite bearish because Golden Cross. And we were just moving in the wrong direction. And if we look back into the weekly charts as well, but this is a nice ascending triangle pattern on the weekly chart. Perhaps if I can get through 64 Rand and some change, and at the same time also get a Golden Cross, that would be a stock I look to jump back in. But for now, I'll wait for those two to kind of cross back up. But that symmetrical ascending triangle pattern there looking quite decent. And a trick to these patterns, they can take quite a bit of time, and you need to be patient with them. I mean, this one took over a year to
it goes back to April, dude. In fact, it goes back,
Yeah, and it haven't even broken out as yet. It's still setting up. So they do quite require some patience. And trading is I think I picked it up on I can't remember the book, but is the space between they say the space between the notes, and trading. They say music is a space between the notes, and trading is a space between the trades. It's about doing nothing when there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
For now, I'm just waiting on.
Sit in your hands and being. Yeah. And waiting. Trading is mostly lots of waiting.
Yeah. And you always say, man, good trading is deeply boring, and waiting for stuff to happen can be quite boring. But monitoring quite a lot of stocks, does help with that process.
Cool, folks. We will park it there. Njabulo, thanks for the time, ladies and gents. As I said, Njabulo back next week, and then 16th, public holiday. We'll all take it lazy, and then back to normal on 23rd, which is then almost halfway through the year. Everyone have a good one. Njabulo, thanks a lot. Man. That's looking excellent.
Yeah, have a great evening, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out the podcast as well. The episode came out today. Do subscribe on the Village Trader channel and the mailing list as well. I do post some charts for my subscribers.
Cool. Cheers. Have a good evening. Stay warm.
Cheers, everyone.